About 7 inches, Ronnie jokes. Her brown eyes opened wide. Then the girl laughed, a deep, lively laugh that made her pretty face light up. And from that day forward, Shannon called Ronnie Shorty. Has your wife left town, Shorty? Shannon concluded, looking at the purchase. My wife left completely. Period, Ronnie said. Shannon's dark brown eyes flickered to Ronnie's left hand. Her eyes flickered up and met Ronnie's. She studied his face for a few moments. So, baby, where are you taking me on our first date? She asked brazenly, combing her thick brown hair back with her hand. Shannon, as pretty as you are, what on earth do you want with an old fart like me? Ronnie asked. That's about 7 inches, Shannon said and put Ronnie's purchases in the bag. Charlotte's 40th birthday was Tuesday. On Wednesday, Tracy, Ronnie and Charlotte's daughter, called Ronnie on his cell phone. Eckley's renovation and remodeling, Ronnie says. Ronnie answered. Dad, it was Mom's birthday yesterday, Tracy said. And? Ronnie asked, scratching his 3-day stubble. Why didn't you call her? Tracy squealed. I didn't want this, Ronnie said. I didn't want to... Dad, why? Tracy hissed. I guess you'll find out soon enough, Ronnie said. Your mother has decided that since she is now 40, she should go out and have sex with other men. And what? Tracy asked. And what? Jesus Christ, what do they teach you in this school? Ronnie asked. She is married, and married women don't have sex with men. They're not married too. Oh my God, this is so old-fashioned. Tracy chuckled. Goodbye, Tracy, Ronnie said, ending the conversation. 10 minutes later, his cell phone rang again. Even though he saw that it was Charlotte's cell phone, Ronnie answered the call. Eccles renovation and remodeling, Ronnie says. He said automatically. Hi, Ronnie, Charlotte said in a firm voice. Hello? How do you like being a 40-year-old slut? Ronnie asked. It's not funny, Ronnie, Charlotte snapped. Well, I don't think it's funny either, Ronnie agreed. Oh, and thank you so much for canceling the credit cards, Charlotte continued. You're welcome, said Ronnie. Anything else? My birthday was yesterday, Ronnie, said Charlotte. Why didn't you call? I didn't want this. But hey, maybe whoever you're having fun with will want to wish you a happy birthday, huh? Ronnie asked. Oh my God, grow up, Ronnie, Charlotte snapped. Already, Charlotte. What about adults? They fulfill their obligations. They respect their vows, Ronnie said. So, Melissa Kallick? Who? Asked Charlotte. Melissa Kallick. Her name used to be Melissa Strombe. Do you remember her? The pretty little blonde who went to school with Tracy? She married Lucy Kallick, the bank manager. Be that as it may, she now works at Gold Standard Real Estate. And I've got this cute little redhead. Dear God, she's as cute as a pin, I tell you. But anyway, the good news is that she thinks she can find us a buyer for our house real quick, Ronnie said. Buyer? Ronnie, we are not selling the house, Charlotte shouted into the phone. Oh, do you really think you can afford to ransom me? Remember, we need to pay off the second mortgage. And that's what Melissa told me. She can find us a buyer, but we'll probably have to bring cash to the table to pay off that mortgage, Ronnie said. We're not selling the house, Charlotte shouted again. And I put all your furniture in that EZ warehouse on Independence Road, right next to Chevrolet Place, Ronnie continued. Block number 212, your father has the key. Oh God, Darlene, I need to go home, Ronnie heard Charlotte moan. But your father couldn't pick up Samson? So I took him to Dennis, Ronnie continued. Dennis? Ronnie, my God, Dennis has those Dobermans? Charlotte screamed in horror. Oh, damn. That's right. I didn't think about that. Ronnie grinned. No wonder he said he would be happy to adopt this cat. Well, Ronnie hung up, ignoring his wife's cries and pleas. Leaving the phone on the kitchen table, he went upstairs and accessed the internet. He heard his cell phone ring but ignored it. And maybe your mom's new boyfriend can pay for his last year of school, young lady, Ronnie muttered. Hey, why don't you see if you have a scholarship there for students who have a GPA of 2 and 1? Because after all, with that kind of attitude, it's hard to expect your father to pay for your education. Ronnie snapped, turning off the computer. Ronnie went into the bathroom and soaped his face. Scraping off 3 days of stubble was hard and painful work, but he managed to do it without cutting himself. He took a hot shower, dried himself off, and put on jeans and a t-shirt. The computer was located in the cab of the pickup truck, behind the passenger seat. His last act was to throw his cell phone in the trash. Ronnie then rolled the trash can to the curb. "I'll miss you," said Herman Vogert, a neighbor across the street, when he met Ronnie on the side of the road. "Vogert, there's no way in hell you'll do this," Ronnie laughed, shaking the man's hand. "The only time we said more than 2 words to each other was when you complained about Tracy's boys playing their music too loud. And do you know how hard it is to get your neighbors to leave you alone, damn it?" said Herman. "You were the perfect neighbor. Never borrowed my shit, never expected me to feed your cat, never asked me to pick up your mail or newspapers when you went on vacation. I bet the next group will be at my house all the time." "Serves you right for being so warm and friendly," Ronnie said. The trash can is ringing," Herman said, nodding his head towards the trash can. Mind your own business. It's some kind of rat," Ronnie smiled, and the 2 men shook hands again. Charlotte tried to open the front door with her key and found that the key did not fit. She took her phone out of her purse and tried to call the phone number for the Golden Standard Real Estate Agency listed on the sign. She stared at him in disbelief. Her phone was fully charged, but apparently there was something wrong with her phone. Darlene allowed Charlotte to use her cell phone while Gary walked around the house checking the windows and doors. Charlotte muttered obscenities under her breath when the call was answered. "Gold Standard Real Estate, this is Melissa Kalick," Melissa said cheerfully. Yes, this is Charlotte Jackson," Charlotte snapped. "I'm standing in front of my house and my key doesn't work." "Jackson? Ronald, Jackson's ex-wife," Melissa said cheerfully. "Wife! Wife!" Charlotte snapped. "Oh, I'm so glad to hear from you. I need you to sign some forms," Melissa said cheerfully. "Oh, and you won't believe this, but I have a couple of clients. They are truly interested in your home." "The house is not for sale," Charlotte shouted into the phone. "Oh, so are you going to buy Mr. Jackson out?" Melissa asked. "I know the Richmonds will be very disappointed to hear this." Well, they also liked Purcell's house. Gary returned and reported that the house was tightly sealed. Charlotte again told Melissa that the house was not for sale. She then dialed Ronnie's cell phone number. "You son of a bitch," Charlotte growled as Ronnie's voice announced that she had called Eccles Renovations and Remodeling. "Come on, is there somewhere we can drop you off?" asked Gary, who was already bored with this drama. "My cat," Charlotte remembered, squeezing herself into the car again. "Yay," Dennis answered. "Dennis, it's me. Ronnie said he gave Samson to you," asked Charlotte. "What? You are crazy? With papier, olive oil, and Bluetooth here? They would tear that useless cat to pieces," Dennis snapped angrily. No, Dad has it. And you need to get him quickly. Dad's physical therapist is allergic to cats." "Oh, thank God," Charlotte sighed. "And, thank you very much," Dennis continued, "for the disappearance of Ronnie. Now we are almost out of business. I got approved for federal savings and loans, but then I had to turn around and let Framonte take it because none of us know how to lay ceramic tile." "Uh-huh," said Charlotte, and interrupted the conversation. "Hey, how many people are you going to call?" Darlene snapped as Charlotte began dialing her father's phone number. "What? You have unlimited, right?" asked Charlotte. "Oh, no, that's not true," Darlene said. "I have 1,000 minutes a month, and I know that Mr. Genius over there spent them all on his fantastic football nonsense." "Last call," Charlotte promised. John ranted, raved, and hurled obscenities at his daughter. Reluctantly, however, he agreed so that she could come to his home. Gary drove to John Eccles' house and took Charlotte's suitcase out of the trunk. Darlene and Charlotte hugged, then Charlotte wheeled her suitcase towards the door. "So, how was it?" Gary asked Darlene as she climbed into the front seat of the car. "God, what a disaster," Darlene sighed. "I mean, look at her, okay? Do you think anyone would want to have sex with her?" "Not when you're sitting next to her," Gary agreed as they watched Charlotte enter her father's house. But did you receive any money from her? Almost, Darlene sighed as Gary backed out of the long driveway. Ronnie? God, I hate this hole in my ass. Can you hear me? He canceled all her credit cards and she had to use her debit card. But there are ATMs everywhere, Gary reminded her. Crap. Got about $10? We need gasoline. Yeah, there are ATMs everywhere and she's on the internet. You can do that when your thick-headed hubby isn't wasting your minutes on fantasy football, Darlene snapped. Yes, here's 20. Yeah, that means she went online. What does this have to do with ATMs? Gary asked as he pulled into the gas station. She saw that Ronnie took half of her bill, Darlene said. Just get 10, okay? We still need to pay the electricity bill, unless you've already paid for it. Gary nodded and walked into the attached convenience store. Darlene watched as Gary turned to the beer cooler and quickly bleated into the car horn. Gary frowned at her through the plate glass of the store window, but turned back to the counter. I was just going to buy one can, Gary lied as he returned to the car. Yeah, one, Darlene snapped. When was the last time you received one can? Oh, hey, does that little midget work here now? Where does she have such big breasts? Asked Gary. She has small breasts. They just look bigger because she's so small, Darlene said. Come on, gas up, okay? While Darlene and Gary bickered, Charlotte listened to her father's angry lecture. Since his stroke, John has used quite a lot of vulgarities in his conversation, and he didn't seem to mind using hateful, hurtful words to describe the people around him. I mean, seriously? When have you looked at yourself in the mirror lately? Asked John. Fat pig, and that face. Apparently it caught fire and they put it out with an ice pick. Dad, Charlotte gasped, truly hurt by his words. So, you're turning 40. Big deal, women turn 40 every damn day, John growled. But not every one of them turns into a stupid traitor just because she is 40. He pointed to the legal documents on the coffee table. Samson chose this moment to enter the living room. You need to hire a lawyer, and I need to clean that damn cat litter box, John snapped. Jesus Christ, I don't know what the hell that animal eats, but damn, it fucking stinks. John turned sharply and pushed away. The left corner of his mouth was slightly open, and he was drooling. You're in your old room, John snapped. Damn it, I hope it was worth it. Can you hear? I hope damn it was worth it. 40 fucking years and still a damn fool. That night, lying in her old bed and looking at the wallpaper she and her mother had chosen when she was 8, Charlotte sighed. Samson didn't move when Charlotte turned off the light and stared at the dark ceiling. The week marking her 40th birthday started off so promisingly. The plane ride was smooth and easy. Charlotte looked out the window as the glittering city of Las Vegas appeared below them. Excited, Charlotte and Darlene checked into their hotel room. They then rushed downstairs and spent a few dollars at the roulette table before deciding to have dinner. Charlotte was insulted when a handsome waiter told her that her credit card had been declined. The second credit card was also declined, and the manager brought the third card to the table with a hard look on his face. Charlotte took out her debit card and prayed that it would work. Luckily, this happened, and the manager brought her the card and her receipts. Returning to the room, Charlotte checked her bank account and found that it had been reduced by 50%. Both Charlotte and Darlene cursed Ronnie Jackson. They both agreed that this man had gone too far, really too far. Come on, girl, Darlene encouraged. We're in Vegas. Vegas. We can't let this hole in our ass ruin our good time, right? But watching Darlene lose $300 at the blackjack table dampened the evening's celebratory mood a little. It was Charlotte's $300. Charlotte actually managed to pick up a handsome young man at a bar. 25-year-old David Daltrey went with Charlotte to her room. 4 minutes is all that happened. Charlotte then saw David trying to steal her wallet from her purse. Darlene complained that she was limited to $100 a day. Lady Luck and Darlene did not meet during this trip to Vegas. The $100 seemed to disappear from Darlene's hand the moment she left their hotel room. On Tuesday evening, the night of her birthday, Charlotte tried again to pick up a handsome young man. The young man grinned then leaned closer. Charlotte leaned closer, giggling in anticipation. "Lady, if I wanted sex with some 300-pound woman, I'd be home with my wife," he said. "But, I heard that there is a convention of the blind 2 hotels away from here. Why don't you try your luck there, you fat ass?" Suffering from the hurtful rejection, Charlotte took the elevator to their room. She groaned when she saw the "Do Not Disturb" sign around the doorknob. Charlotte then went down to the coffee shop in the lobby and drank a cup of coffee for a couple of hours. Finally, Charlotte sent Darlene a message telling her she was coming back to the room. Returning to her room, Charlotte was relieved to see that the sign was gone and entered the room. After a hot shower, pulling sexy lingerie over her plump body, Charlotte lay in a large, comfortable hotel bed, staring at the ceiling. Then she realized that Ronnie hadn't called. Her husband didn't call to wish her a happy birthday. Tracy didn't call either, but the girl sent her a text message wishing her a happy birthday. A check of her cell phone actually made it clear to Charlotte that her husband hadn't even bothered to send her a text message. However, Charlotte smiled in response to Dennis, Brian, and Paul's birthday wishes. And in the morning, Darlene complained bitterly about the budget Charlotte had limited them to. Darlene even indicated that she was the one who paid for the flight and hotel room. By Saturday morning, Charlotte was seriously considering telling her cousin that it was all over between them. Blood relatives or not, Charlotte had more than enough of Darlene's constant complaints. But Darlene had their airline tickets in her purse, so Charlotte remained silent. Now, lying in her old bed, in her old room, Charlotte sighed heavily. Her Big 4 week wasn't much of a celebration. Jim Runkles was the attorney recommended by Freddie Baxter, the Charlotte director of the Garland County Public Library. The man looked through the papers from Penny Barnes' office, then looked at his client. "And?" It sounded very harsh and dry. "He gets half, you get half. The house must be sold and any profits must be divided in half. Any expenses should also be divided in half. He's not asking for child support, even though he's essentially unemployed right now," Jim said. "But I don't want a divorce," Charlotte whined. "I don't want to lose my home, I don't want—" "Mrs. Jackson, it really doesn't matter," Jim sighed. "This is the terrible truth. 1 person out of 2 says he wants a divorce. Well, guess what? They may get divorced." "Consultation?" asked Charlotte. "Okay, we can request a consultation," Jim said, and Charlotte smiled. "I'll call Penny's office." Charlotte listened to what Jim was saying. She studied the titles of the books in his bookcase, as there seemed to be little more than "uh-huh" and "hmm" from Jim. "Okay, Mrs. Jackson, here's the problem," Jim said, placing his cell phone on the table. "I'm paying you so there won't be any problems," Charlotte said, clutching her purse tightly. "Miss Barnes has no idea where her client is. Your husband came, paid her fee, and left," Jim said. "All she has is an email address for him. Does she need it? This is the only way she can contact him. And no, she won't give us an email address. Attorney-client privilege." "Oh," Charlotte whispered, sinking into a chair. "And Ronnie told Miss Barnes that from now on, your daughter can pay for her own tuition and living in the dorm," Jim continued. "Something about new traditions or something like that. Any idea what he means by this?" "No," Charlotte whispered. "But I'm willing to bet Tracy knows." Charlotte did not celebrate her 41st birthday. She got dressed for another day of work and left her room. John didn't look up when his daughter kissed him on the cheek. He simply stared at his hands, clenched lifelessly in his lap. "Do you need anything before I go to work?" asked Charlotte. "Nope," John muttered. "Okay, then I'll leave. You and Samson behave yourself, okay?" said Charlotte, trying to put as much joy into her voice as possible. "Everything is fine? My 2 best men will behave themselves, okay?" "What the hell do you think we're going to do?" John spat, but it was mostly just grunts, squeaks, and barks. Charlotte went to work the same route she had taken all last year, from her father's house to the library. She heard her cell phone ring, but waited until she parked the car before looking at the display. "Happy birthday," Charlotte read on her mobile phone. "Yes, Tracy, great," Charlotte muttered. "Happy birthday to me. I'm so excited that I'm glowing with happiness." but she sent a reply thanking Tracy for the birthday wishes. Charlotte managed to lose 25 pounds in the year since her 40th birthday. However, no one noticed this. No one has paid her any attention since Ronnie left. Less than a week after Ronnie left, Charlotte realized Darlene and Gary's open marriage for what it was. Darlene and Gary had an open marriage because they didn't love each other. But neither of them had enough money to free themselves from the other. So they lived as two roommates in a rented trailer rather than as husband and wife. There were no displays of affection between them. Darlene and Gary did not hug. They did not kiss. Charlotte remembered Ronnie hugging her and kissing her the night she made him pork chops, mashed potatoes, gravy, and green beans and bacon. Ronnie coming up to her wanting a hug and a kiss. She pinched her nostrils. Ronnie smelled of sweat, of hard work. After her announcement that she was going to celebrate her 40th birthday in Las Vegas without him, Ronnie did not hug or kiss her again. The last time Charlotte saw Ronnie, she leaned in to kiss him, but he simply avoided her kiss. An hour after reading Tracy's text message, her phone rang again. Charlotte read a message from her manager asking her if she was late. Charlotte got out of the car in a daze and walked towards the back door of the cinder block building. Tracy read a text message from her mother thanking her for her birthday wishes. Tracy then looked at her cell phone. There was a photo of a little girl with a shock of brown hair looking back at her. Antoinette Barbara Jackson, 6 pounds 4 ounces, 17 inches long, read a text message from her father's phone. Tracy actually found it rather ironic that her little sister and her mother shared the same birthday. But she didn't think her mother would find any humor in that little fact. Tracy actually wondered if her father even remembered that it was her mother's birthday. Shannon Parquet, Becky McMahon, an attractive brunette, said into the phone. Carpets, tiles, hardwoods, and laminate flooring. Hey, Shorty, the girl called. Third line. Excuse me. Ronnie Jackson said to a young couple who were trying to decide what color hardwood floors they would like for their home. Ronnie waved to Bobby East to help the young couple while he answered the phone. The young man nodded in agreement and approached the couple. Ronnie walked over to the wall phone and pressed the flashing extension. His gaze swept across the trading floor as he raised the phone to his ear. Ronnie was hoping to hear back from Samuel D., who was trying to get an exclusive contract to produce all the flooring for the developer's future projects. Shorty's listening, Ronnie said into the phone. Well, you know what, Mr. Shorty? His wife's voice was heard on the phone. Looks like you and your 7 inches have put another one inside me. Shannon, are you serious? Ronnie asked, his mouth open in shock. I mean, really? Tony isn't even out of diapers yet, and I'm about to get another one? Shannon giggled happily into the phone. Where are you? Ronnie asked. I'm just leaving Dr. Pruitt's office, Shannon said. Well, you need to get that gorgeous ass of yours over here right now, Ronnie said. We're going to Stone Grill to celebrate. I think all this attention on my ass is why we got into this mess in the first place. Shannon giggled as she pushed Tony's stroller out of the Alliance Square Medical Center and into the brutal Texas sun. The 4'8" woman brushes her long hair out of her eyes, looking around. Always the shortest kid on the block, she learned to look around first before she walked. She looked at the scorching sun and smiled. When Ronnie stopped by the gas station to say goodbye to Shannon Carlisle and said he was leaving, she asked him where he was going. Ronnie looked at her for a long moment. Then he shrugged. Why do you want to know this? He asked. So I can tell them where to send my last check, Shannon said, jumping off her milk crate. Are you going somewhere warm? I already have almost all the snow I can handle, do you hear? Shannon, what does a gorgeous girl like you want from an old fart like me? Ronnie asked her. She was about to respond with her usual playful banter. About 7 inches. When she looked up at him, she closed her eyes. What color are my eyes? She asked. Brown. Real dark brown, Ronnie replied. I have a dimple. Which cheek is it on? Shannon asked, opening her eyes. Left cheek. And when you smile, one of your teeth shows. The one on the right is a little crooked. I mean, not too bad, but it's not straight, Ronnie said. And why did you come to tell me? Bye, baby. Shannon asked, sliding out from behind the counter. Hey, Paulie, I'm leaving. I don't know, Ronnie replied as Paulie, clumsily dragging his 312 pounds, walked out of the warehouse. Uh-huh. Shannon grinned and grabbed Ronnie's left hand with her right hand. Paulie, I'm leaving. But you still have 2 hours on your shift, Paulie complained. Cough, cough. I feel sick, Shannon said. Bye. Hey, kid, have you ever been to Texas? Standing in front of the Alliance Square Medical Center, Shannon whispered, Hey, Ronnie, I love you. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.